This is Game 3 of the Mortal Kombat tournament held in Seattle, Washington earlier this year. At the top of the screen is Steve playing the custom avatar Scorpion, and at the bottom of the screen is Gage playing Kano. So these custom avatars are themed around the Mortal Kombat video game franchise. Scorpion has a tap ability that essentially gives him a Pudge Butcher effect to shoot a projectile and pull a unit towards him if hit. The key difference there is that it strikes, it doesn't fight the unit when it arrives. Scorpion beginning with a power of 2 here. And Kano, the bottom there, has essentially like a free, like a grapple shot ability on tap. So again, allowing it to shoot a projectile and moving to whatever unit is hit, and then striking it for the avatar's power. Kano starting out pretty strong with a base power of 3. I think in this matchup, Kano is probably at a slight advantage here versus Scorpion, just based on kind of avatar ability. Both players getting started here with early duel sites to get their thresholds going. Gage getting an early ramp there with the tower and the Night Gaunts. Night Gaunts cast into a void space with their keyword ability Void Walk. So it puts them in position to threaten, to attack in on his next turn unless Steve has an answer, and his choices are pretty limited here just because of that ramp. Steve playing a Wuthering Heights under the Night Gaunt and then trying to push them diagonally into the void, which is a nice thought. It's not going to work that way though. The push ability has to be like from one site to another, like a surface of a site to another surface of a site. It can't cross region borders into the void. And they're just double checking that ruling, and they're getting confirmation that is the way that works. It's the same reason why you can't attack diagonally from a void space onto the surface of a site. You can't activate you can't take advantage of the airborne ability moving between those two regions. Airborne is specific to being on sites, being on top of sites in that region. Gage is continuing with early aggression here. Road to Perdition to power up the Night Gaunts and then a Torse Hammer. Attacking in for 5 points of damage. 5 points of damage on turn 3 here, which is going to immediately put Steve on the back foot. And again, like I said, I think Steve is coming into this match at a slight disadvantage, just due to the avatar selections. Tapping to play his third site because he needs to get his mana base up here on turn 3. 3 mana in his mana pool with a Mountain Peaks, a Riptide to he's saying that he's commenting that it doesn't really get him much to pull the Night Gaunts into his water site, but he doesn't have any other valid targets, and he mainly wants to use it for a cycle. Looking at his hand looks a little top heavy, and I think that's why he played that Riptide. He needed to cycle a card to draw a card, to get something to try to answer this aggressive start that Gage has. Gage again, like getting a lesser blood demon out here. He'll take 2 points of damage, but he was at 20, so that'll only take him to 18. And he's going to continue his onslaught with the Night Gaunts, bringing Steve to 11. So Gage still in a very good position here, pushing a lot of threat, putting a lot of pressure onto Steve, and Steve is definitely feeling it. I think he's just again, he's a little behind the curve here. His hand feels pretty heavy, and it looks like he's just getting like utility spells that he can't use because he doesn't have board presence yet. Playing a tower this turn, on turn 4, that'll ramp him to 5 mana. Lacuna Entity to take care of the Night Gaunts to get that Thorn out of his side here. Gage, just noting that Lacuna Entity's ability, it doesn't have to be dragged into the void. You could also cast it submerged and then drag your target underwater. And Steve is opting to do that. It feels like it's a slightly stronger positioning to put Lacuna Entity under the lighthouse as an easier point to defend. Either way, I think it's going to take him. It would take him at least 1 or 2 turns to get Lacuna Entity into a position that's relevant, either from the void or from under the lighthouse. Gage attacking in again with the Lesser Blood Demon here, and then playing a Sturmgeist, which is never any fun to see when it is being played against you. Sturmgeist is a really good card. It really makes it difficult to kind of play the types of cards that you want to be able to play without being punished for it. Steve, I think, sitting at 5 mana at this point. Second Lacuna Entity to take care of the Sturmgeist, which is nice, but you can see that his hand, the entire game has been really top heavy. He's got like 5s in his hand, and then he just has utility spells like I think that's a Whirlwind that he drew, and he might have a Grapple Shot in there, but he didn't have any board presence. He didn't have like a good minion to be able to cast it on at the time. Lizard Blood Demon continuing to just attack in, bringing Steve to 4. And unfortunately, again, just the first Lacuna Entity, just the positioning, he needed to play it to remove that threat from the board, the Night Gaunt threat from the board, but it was in a real bad position for Steve, and it really put him behind on kind of getting that somewhere onto the board that was going to be more relevant for him. Gage playing Lamorak on the back there. Lamorak, Deathrite will strike all nearby enemies, which makes it somewhat annoying to have to deal with, to remove with that Deathrite to try to work around it. It makes it difficult to kind of get rid of that piece without having to sacrifice something that you don't want to on your side. Steve not in a great position here. Attacking with Lacuna Entity for 4 points onto the bonfire. Gage opting to block with Lamorak, then Deathrite Trigger will result in kind of a 1-for-1 trade there on those 2 pieces. And Steve just thinking through his turn here, just in a bit of a tough position. He's getting really close to the door at this point. He really has to figure out a way to deal with the lesser blood demon. And then I don't think that they necessarily realized it this game, but the Lacuna entities, Steve couldn't even play them this game, just with the threshold requirements. He only has a single lighthouse out, and the Lacunas require 3 water, so he was double in trouble this game, both with his mana curve and then also just with his threshold. Steve tried to turn it around though with a grapple shot from his Lacuna entity across the board there to Kano. So dealing 4 damage and then striking for 4 on the grapple and then attacking for 4. The Lizard Blood Demon will take Steve to door. Gage getting another Sturmgeist out onto the board here. Second Sturmgeist onto the board. Which causes a lot of trouble for Steve. Steve moving into the abyss. So he's realizing now that that he only has one water threshold, and he's not going to be able to cast into the abyss with his current board state. He does have a Tintagel in his hand, which he's playing. He's tapping to play that out. That'll bring him to 2 water threshold. And then if he wanted to, he could play Into the Abyss. Into the Abyss it is a magic spell, so it could trigger Sturmgeist. He's attacking first with Lacuna Entity. Gage choosing to block with Sturmgeist. I think just being a little cautious. Doesn't want to get bursted down, would be my guess. When he has a pretty commanding lead here, and again, still I feel has the advantage with Kano. Now that the Sturmgeist is off the board, Steve is opting to play. He played Into the Abyss to remove the Lesser Blood Demon threat, and then he played a Whirlwind just to move Kano a little further away to give him a little bit more breathing room. Gage playing out Skirmishers of Mu, and again a little more defensive than honestly than I think maybe he needed to be. I think he played a sight on that turn, which brought him up to 6. And I don't think he needed to do that. I think he could have just spent the turn moving Kano back into position to be able to cannonball himself, grapple shot himself forward. Scorpion's ability activating to drag forward and striking for 2. And then Lord of Lies is played onto Steve's home site, forcing a fight between Lord of Lies and the Skirmishers of Mu, and that will remove Skirmishers, which is decent for Steve. He needed to be able to get rid of that Skirmishers piece. Otherwise, it was just going to start moving forward and shooting him for the death blow. Gage getting out a Dapper Vampire. Dapper still relevant for Gage in terms of the life gain if it can get a strike or 2 onto a unit. And honestly, if he's allowed to heal 4 or 8 points It's a bit demoralizing, I think, if you're trying to rally and make a comeback here with your deck. And also just like it just widens the gap and makes it that much less likely that Steve would even have a way to turn it around here at this point. Steve playing a toolbox. I think he's taking a peek at his collection just because he's so far. He's on the back foot, and so I think he's just digging desperately to see if there's something that's going to allow him to stabilize the board and allow him to start staging a comeback here. The one thing he has going for him at this point is that I think Gage had a lot of early aggression, a lot of gas, and I think he's now out of cards in his hand. I think he's top decking spells. So he still has a strong board presence here, but he is just kind of burning through his spells fairly quickly as he draws them. Steve getting a Nelly down onto the board. Yeah, there are only a couple places that he could put Nelly that would be relevant, either on the home site or possibly Tinted Gel would have been an option. I think he just wanted the blocker at this point, just to do the best he can to defend himself from getting a death strike. He can't put it onto the observatory just because it just gives him it would give Gage a free projectile move with Kano, and if he can get Kano across the board like that, it's kind of game over, honestly. It's just the way that these Mortal Kombat avatars were designed. They all have like a kill spell ability built into them, so they can flip, and that gives them the ability to take a free step and then strike an avatar on death's door adjacent to them. So it gives them a lot of reach to get that last point of damage in. Steve, I think just passing his turn back to Gage here. And again, like Gage, like really, he just needs to get Kano close to finish the game here. It might have actually been advantageous for him to play the Dapper Vampire on the other side of the board, and then just move the Vampire up and Cannonball Kano into his own Vampire to get him upfield. Gage tapping for looks like he tapped to play another site here. I'm not quite sure why he's doing that instead of repositioning to get closer here. But he's playing a little more cautiously with Kano. He's using his deck to try to do a lot more of the heavy lifting here. Playing a Black Plague. Black Plague will take care of the Nelly, and it's going to force Lord of Lies to move. I think his train of thought here is he's trying to break up this kind of combo that Steve is sitting on with Lord of Lies and his avatar Scorpion on the same site, because Scorpion can do that Pudge Butcher ability where it's going to shoot a projectile and pull a unit towards him. And then when it arrives, he can then use the Lord of Lies and force a fight. So I think that was maybe the train of thought that Gage had there to at the very least get rid of Nelly, which is going to be another threat that will facilitate that specific combo with Lord of Lies. And then also force Steve to move Lord of Lies outside of that aura. Steve with a great utility spell there, taking a Whirlwind again to move his avatar into that corner there and push the Dapperel to the side. It might have been it might be all he has here. He's still got a toolbox. He's sitting on a toolbox. And I mean, like, originally I would have said, like, you know, like, I'm surprised he wasn't fishing for a removal spell for the Dapperel Vampire. It is possible that he might not have one in his collection. Like, he didn't build it that way. I got, like, my first thought was, you know, break the toolbox for a berry, but he's not in that element. He's running air, water. So the removal from ordinary cards in your collection would be more limited. I think like Arc Lightning would probably do it, but it's probable that he doesn't. I didn't get a full look at his collection when he was looking through it. I don't think he has Arc Lightning in there, so that was not an option. Gage moving his vampire out of the Black Plague aura, so the Black Plague will fizzle at end of turn and get taken off of the board here. And he's playing a Jihad to threaten Steve further. Now that he's getting backed into a corner here. Steve with a great play there, Browse, and Browse could potentially kind of give him what he needs to try to get out of a jam here. He's looking at 7 cards, trying to find something that's going to save him. And I think he sees an Atlantean Fate. Is that an Atlantean Fate? Or maybe it's a. I can't get it. Actually, I don't remember. I don't remember what those cards look like. Maybe it's an Amphalos instead. And I can't tell what he has. Steve loves playing with foils, and sometimes the foils kind of mess with the video sometimes. There's a lot of stuff that I don't think he needs. He's got those Guile Sirens or Koi Nixies. I think I saw 4 waters, which is not going to help him here. So just a browse and tapping for a sight and passing turn, which is surprising. I mean, browse only costs 1, so I think he had 5 mana left in his mana pool, and he just he couldn't make use of that on this turn, or it wasn't advantageous for him to make use of that on this turn. Gage just continuing to kind of wheel all of his units closer to that corner to finish up this game. Playing an Ifrit. So the Ifrit will deal 2 points of damage to him at the beginning of his next turn, but it's going to, you know, threaten. I think it's a 5 power airborne. Just one more threat on the board here, kind of circling this corner. And the real threat, honestly, is just Kano is now in position in this lane to tap for its ability to just cannonball itself forward and strike. Honestly, that's all he needs here. So Steve clearing out the Stygians, because that's the immediate threat in front of him. He can't let that live. Still got I think all his mana, 6/6 mana is mana pool. 5 for an Unland Angler. The Angler will screen a projectile from Kano. But unfortunately, I think that Gage just has he has 2 minions on. He has 2 somewhat beefy minions on board here, and I think that he's going to be able to come up with a way to clear the board, to clear the way. Trinket on the Ifrit brings its power to 6, attacking the Lord of Lies. And I think that's actually going to be game here, just because no matter what, like if Steve blocked with the Angler, then the path would be clear for Kano to projectile. But yeah, now the Vampire can just trade to clear the path. Kano is going to projectile in. Steve could have activated Wuthering Heights on his previous turn to push the Ifrit away. And I think they just didn't think about that. That would have bought him another turn with the Ifrit trying to get forward. But a good game to watch, a fun game. Like we all had a lot of fun playing these games with these custom avatars, and that's kind of what this type of event is all about. So that was game 3 here, and we'll move on to game 4, the final game of this series next.